Hey, Boban. Hey,
Yes, hello.
I'm in snow country today.
Yeah,
You see?
yes.
Very good. What happened to your hair?
With years, it's becoming whiter and whiter. Yeah.
Huh? What?
With years, it's becoming whiter and whiter.
Oh, it's okay. That's shows seniority. Very good, very good. So you back home or you at the work?
Yeah, I'm back home.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Very good, very good. Yeah, so I'm waiting for some more people to come, but it's Thanksgiving in the United States today, so I think a lot of people are busy. They're with
Yeah,
family. Yeah. So, but we'll hang out a couple of more minutes and see if somebody comes, and then I have a couple of things I can talk about and maybe help a little bit. Then you and I can get on a phone call later, so we don't talk about that here, because this is being recorded. Good. Yeah, so today I'm going to chat a little bit about anything that people wonder about masterminds and some pretty cool things. I started actually playing with ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, to build. I asked it, what do you want to do to attract people in today's day and age to use artificial intelligence to maybe create an app or a software where people can get instant answers. You know how people want answers fast, right? They don't want to have to wait. So I think I need to come up with some kind of software that enables them to do that. That's what I'm thinking, at least. So have you seen any such software out there on the market? You have access to coders, right? Programmers in your country, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I hadn't thought about this kind of software.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really cool idea.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we shall see if I can make that happen. Many years ago, I tell you I was building apps for the iPhone?
No?
Yeah, so I didn't do the coding, right? But I have the teams in India actually,
Yeah.
and yeah, so they built out some apps for me. I think I developed 4 or 5 apps, one for Android and 4 for the iOS. And one app that I was building, I never managed to finish. It was too costly to produce for me at that time. It was like $20,000, and that was a lot of money. So, and then of course it's becomes much more expensive than that, right? But that had to do with like I had all the visuals created, and it was like a long conference table, like an oval table, and it was a red chair at the end of the table, and you could take a seat. You could take a seat in there, and then you ask a question, and people that would be part of the app, they would see the questions being posted, and then they could sit at the table. Then they could earn points. They could earn like tokens for answering questions. And as they started going through the questions, they would earn seniority as could become like an expert or something like that. And so you could actually, as the person asking the question, you could start calling on people. Hey, I want you to answer that question, or you. And then the person in the red seat would pay with tokens to get that person to answer the question. So
Yeah, I like it very much. It's a pity you didn't finish this, because they on this principle that they developed Quora, for example.
yeah.
Today is very, very important and good business.
I think so.
And also you would develop Mastermind actually through
That's right.
this app.
Yeah. So I had like
And
100.
if you succeed, then time to start with it. Who knows where it should be today?
Yeah, but that's how it is with many things. This is back in 2010, 2011. So it's not that many years ago. Quora was probably on the already done at that point. Oh, so here we have Angelica coming in too. 1 second. You met her before, I think. She's in my other mastermind. Do you remember her?
Yes.
Hi, Angelica.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
I was going to say happy Thanksgiving, but you already had your Thanksgiving in
We
Canada,
did.
right?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm late, and I didn't even get to put lipstick on. I mean,
Oh
what
my
can you
God,
do?
I'm telling you, it's terrible. You look fabulous as always.
Right. Thank you, Alf.
Yeah. And my very good friend Bob Bunn is on the call again. I think he was on another time when you were here,
He
Angelica.
was. Yes. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, so Bob Bunn is in my hometown, and if you remember, he's from Serbia, and he's lived here for maybe 6, 7, 7, 8 years now, I think. Is that about right, Bob Bunn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
8.
8 years now. There you go. Yeah. So him and I, we spend quite a bit of time together. We go fishing in the summertime sometimes, and we go swimming in the ocean sometimes, and we hang out. Sometimes skiing together too, actually. He's been up at the winter cabin. Yeah. So very few people here today because of obviously Thanksgiving. And I know that Robin couldn't make it. And Bill was supposed to be here. So let's see. But, come Thanksgiving, crazy stuff happens, Yeah. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes. How was the call? Oh, you're getting on another call today too, aren't you, Angelica? Is that still happening at 5 o'clock?
Yes. Yes. As far as I know, Stephen is going to host that one.
Oh, okay. So this, Boban, this is a group. We are in a group because we learn how to develop digital courses with Tony Robbins. So we formed a little mastermind after that. So this, like a year and a half after, we're still live and kicking, which is pretty good. Yeah, I know. It's
2 years.
2 years. Oh, but there you go. Long time. This is an artificial background I have here now, though. It looks fancy.
It looks fabulous.
Yeah, I know. And if I don't move too much, then it kind of could look real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. So I was just telling Boban today, we were chatting about just a little bit casual stuff around the mastermind. Any questions, any things like that? A little bit about what I've been working on. And I was telling Boban that I asked ChatGPT the other day, because you can actually, with some of the new plugins that they have in ChatGPT, you can have it develop in the sandbox an artificial, like a playground, in the playground, where you can. So I asked ChatGPT, could you tell me how a mastermind group digitally would look like in an artificial intelligence? So it started building it out for me. And and I don't really know what it looks like. I tried to access it, but I couldn't access it. So I don't know what happened to it. But I started telling it questions. And I said, this is important, and it started cranking away and this and that, and it started writing out. But I don't see it. So and then evidently I can obviously stick some developers on it and see if we can build it out. But I don't know. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's really cool because, I had mentioned the other day that Mastermind had asked if I would do a video of, why I appreciate the community.
Right.
And I find myself really resisting, because I don't want to go on video.
Right.
And then the other one is like, what is it that I really want to say? So part of being here this morning on your mastermind is because, the values that you share about a mastermind as a group getting together with diverse, businesses or ideas about how they want to implement what they're experiencing. I would love to hear again, like what did you get personally from it? Alf, and Boban, when of participating in something like this, like what is it that you feel? I know that it has the business aspects to it, but what is it that what satisfaction or insight or inspiration are you getting from participating in these?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a deep question because the masterminds are so much more than just if you have a mastermind that's focused on business or making courses like we do. look at what our masterminds do, and we go much deeper, right? We talk about meditation, we talk about personal problems we're facing, crap going on in our life sometimes. We have to deal with that, right? We talk about health, we talk about this and that. So a mastermind is so much bigger than just that. And one classic example I had in my Amazon mastermind group, one of the members, I'm not going to mention names, had a sister that was going through a very hard times and getting through a divorce and losing all her income. So a few of us in the group said, hey, we'll help her build a mastermind, build an Amazon account up. He knew how to do that too, but if he couldn't do all the lifting alone. So several of us started saying, hey, we can help her build her own Amazon account. And he was floored. He didn't expect that to come from the group, because we go much deeper than just caring about ourselves and the business. It becomes very holistic, very, very rounded, very deep. We take personal interest in people. People are not going to fall through the ground through the cracks, because when they're in a mastermind, there's so much more. We have each other's back more than just those words, So it's very deep. And like you heard me talk about before, one time I was sued. And I asked my mastermind, what the hell do I do? I'd never been sued. And I was getting images coming after me, right? One piece of advice I got, boom, lawsuit went away. I would never have thought about it. I didn't know what to do. So those are extremely valuable things, right? So the masterminds are so much deeper than that. And of course, it holds you accountable. Like I know for myself during the week, I have questions and I go, shit. Or pardon my French. I said, I need to ask this question of Peter. I need to ask this question of Chung or Trina or Karina. So I write it down. Or I find something for them as I'm reading a book or something. Oh my God, that's exactly what Peter needs here. I write it down in my notes and it goes into a Google Doc. And every time I'm on a call, for every person that's talking, I write their name and I type as they talk, because I also don't want to interrupt them. But then I also remember what it is that they're working on, then I can just scan my notes during the week. And that's why the intensity, the frequency of the masterminds are so important. People think, oh, we can meet once a month or every other week. That's one of the biggest pitfalls I found, that the masterminds dissolve. It disappears because you don't have the momentum, So that's really, really important. And of course, accountability, holding each other accountable. I remember one guy in our mastermind group, he is the biggest seller. He did $27 million a year on Amazon. We fired him because he got the same question 3 times, and that other things that happened before, but 3 times one other person in the group asked him the question, and we came on the call again on Monday and says, oh, I forgot to ask that. 3 times happened in a row. So I said to the group privately, I said, let's take a vote. And we have a rule as majority votes. I said, I'm voting him out because this time it's happened. And before I could show too many times. And now it's just too much. And he's not following up. He doesn't care. It seems like he doesn't care about us. He was certainly willing to take information, but you got to give more than you receive. So we fired him. And he had been with the group for like 3-4 years. So he had been there for quite a while, and he carried a lot of weight too, in terms of he did things on a very high level that was beyond many of us. So, but I'm always like that. I much rather have a hungry, eager person that wants to grow and learn than a very seasoned person that doesn't really care, Even though it's nice to have access to those information as well, but I much rather have that kind of person. That's the same thing when I was playing soccer too. I much rather have a hustler on my team than somebody that was a prima donna that only would do good things when he got the soccer ball, like a Ronaldo. Sorry. Anyway, Ronaldo. My wife loves Ronaldo. I don't like Ronaldo. He's a great soccer player, don't get me wrong, but he's got an ego that is like beyond himself. Do you know anything about soccer at all? No?
Not much. Okay. I mean, I you know what I did watch, just as a quickie, is Ryan Reynolds and some other movie star bought Wrexham in Wales. In Wales, they bought the football team, and so they made a documentary on it, and it's really good, and about how much people in the community love soccer and how it brings people together, and and just by putting their energy into it, because I guess you have to go to different levels in soccer, and they had once been on the top level, and now they weren't even whatever considered, and so it was really a good documentary to watch them, you know, inspire the people to get excited, which kind of like is your mastermind in a way, you know, that everybody has something to offer, and how do you, and there's people, you know, they had to get rid of some of the footballers that had been there for years and years, but really weren't going anywhere. So it was sad in a way, and yet, you know, anyway, it's life. And whichever you focus on, and that happens to be on football. So, but that's the only thing I know about soccer.
No, that's good. That's good. I played soccer all my life since I was a little kid, so I understand the game really well. And I mean, he's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. Of course, he's one of the best in the world, but he's just cocky, and he's so full of himself. And if he doesn't get the ball, everyone else is bad. Somebody else scores on his team, he doesn't even celebrate that. He's I mean, and if you see him, he's made like a god. He's got like a 12-pack. Forget about 6-pack. He's got a 12-pack. So I understand why my wife digs him, but I said, what about my 1-pack? And anyway, so that's beside the point. But I'd rather have a team player that's hungry, that wants to learn and grow on my team, than some prima donna that still has massive information and value, but doesn't contribute to the team. They're all about themselves. That's not the kind of person we want on the team. That's why it's so important to pick the right team members. I keep on saying that over and over again. And Angelica, I know you heard this story the other day, but Bob, this is more for you, but also other people that's not on this call. And this is like, I learned one thing I thought was a really great idea to get a player that's above me on my team. And that would be to figure out, okay, how can I help that person? So I would then, in the old days or a week ago, I would go up and say, hey, you know, I'm really interested in getting to know you, and we have this group, but I also want to figure out how can I help you, just to give something to that person first, which is the right thing to do. But what I did in that moment, when I went up to that person saying, hey, I want to help you with something, now I'm making that person have to think, what is it that this person can help me, let alone I don't even know this person, but so now I made this person think. Then Alex Holmorsi the other day had a video, and he said, never do this. Never do what I just said. You should look at this person that you want to bring into your group, figure out what it is that they do, see what it is that you know to do better than what they do, or a gap or something, a hole they're missing. Let's say he on YouTube, he doesn't do anything on Pinterest. Let's say you're a kick-ass performer on Pinterest. Go and show him what he could do on Pinterest, which would blow him away. Now you gave him something before he even had to ask you, because you did the research. Now you could go to him or her and say, hey, I see that you're missing this thing here. Here's happens to be my expertise. How do you like this? Now you can engage. Now you're already given something before you ask for something in return. So that's how you can stand out. So that's how I changed my approach, and the way I'm going to update my course about that too, because it's important, you know, because that means you're very progressive. You think ahead, you're ahead of the game. So that's a good one. So mastermind groups are, as they grow and mature, you become closer and closer and closer to these people. It's like, what's that group that Donald Trump used in his campaign, Cambridge Analytica out of Cambridge Analytica out of the UK. They got hired by Trump's team, and they could analyze individuals on Facebook. They had 4,000 to 5,000 individual unique holding points on each person on Facebook. So they would know if they're against abortion or the gun laws or the high taxes or whatever bills that are big buzzes for people. And they would go and place ads they called dark ads, which were lies, meaning, Hillary, if you choose Hillary Clinton, so and so will happen. And then the ad would disappear after 30 seconds or 30 minutes. And it only would be shown to that person because they had all the trigger points on them. So, of course, they changed people's mind. voting based on lies. And they so Cambridge Analytica came in on the hot fire for that, obviously. And that's now you're dealing with Facebook took a lot of blame too after the election because they swayed the whole election. That's how this sucker got into power. So anyway, I don't mean to speak politics here, but you can tell I don't like Trump. But that's it.
No, it's okay. You're preaching to the choir, but nonetheless, it is sad that would be. You can use things to the good, you know, and for the betterment of yourself and others, or you can do it just for competition and greed. You know, whatever. Hopefully, you know, the world is becoming more savvy.
Yes, exactly. So how does that relate to the mastermind? Is that we become very close, so we know a lot of things that many of their closest friends don't even know about them, you know, because we share personal things on the mastermind as well. Obviously, we're quite focused on what we want to do, but as the years go by, you get to share good days and bad days, you know. But we show up on the calls, good days, bad days. The other day I didn't feel like being on video, so I wasn't on video. And
I missed your fire.
Yeah, exactly. I have another background with the fire here. I didn't put that on now, but then sometimes to make our calls interesting too, because we gotta rejuvenate them. Sometimes we bring in a guest speaker. So, for instance, one of us might have connected with a speaker or a notoriety in a certain field, and we would ask him or her if they would want to be on our call. And they may have a product to sell or something, which is fine, but they come in and enlighten us and deepen us into a certain area. Let's say it's SEO or Google advertising, YouTube advertising, or something niche, something that we figured this would be very useful for the group, you know. So sometimes we do that. We bring in a guest speaker, and then what's in it for them to come on the calls, not only maybe selling their product, but we also would prepare some good questions for them and try to help them, give them feedback on their presentation, or find out maybe they're looking for something, understanding their business and saying, hey, have you thought about this, or how about that? So to give something back as well, you know. So that's what we do. We invite some guests, but it doesn't happen so often, but we do it from time to time. And let's see now. Any things that you wonder about so far? You asked great questions already, Angelica. Boban, you been in a mastermind before at all?
No. I've been two weeks before with you.
Yeah.
To hear first time the idea of gathering that way.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, many people, when I started talking to some of these entrepreneur groups here in Norway, was, oh yeah, we have our monthly meetings. That's like a mastermind. You know, it's like, no, it's not. Not there's like maybe 25, 30, 50, 60 people. There's no way you can connect, and you don't have the consistency of the same person coming back every time and the same person listening to you and understanding your problem. So it's completely different, and I'm trying to really address that with them. So actually in February, I'm going to speak at one of them here in my hometown, Kulab. I'm going to have a presentation from Mastermind in February, Bob, on the 14th. Oh, that's a Valentine's Day, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, in Norway, maybe we'll have to have some candlelights there or something to make it romantic.
Pass out hearts.
I know, God, I'm just
hearts.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about that. That might not be a good day for that reason. Okay, I just didn't think of that before now. And so the history of the mastermind, I made a little some notes here. You probably don't need to know about that, but it goes back, way back to Benjamin Franklin, Napoleon Hill, and they started doing the masterminds. And that's when Napoleon Hill started back in 1939, was asked by Andrew Carnegie, please, do you want to study the 500 richest men there was only men in the old days, right? That were the richest men in the world. So he interviewed Henry Ford, J.P. Morgan, the Gettys, I mean, you name it. And so he came up with 17 principles. And principle number 11 is the mastermind. He actually did something very interesting in Napoleon Hill, because he created something he called a virtual, not a virtual, imaginary mastermind board. So he said, even though Henry Ford wasn't accessible to him then, or maybe he had died, I don't think so. But he placed Henry Ford on his mastermind team. He placed JP Morgan on his mastermind team, imaginary. So he imagined he had 4 or 5 of these people, and he would literally ask a question and kind of almost get into a state and ask a question. So what would you do in this situation? And he writes in his book, these imaginary meetings became so real that it scared him. It really, it was like he had to, some of them he had to stop, and he asked Jesus to be on his had Jesus on his mastermind as well. Can you imagine having Jesus on the mastermind? That'd be pretty cool. But he literally, in his book, he writes that if they got so real, it got scary. So sometimes he had to just stop them. So, but he actually got, he got their energy. And I don't know if you believe in that too, but if you have many books of biographies of people, they have a certain energy too. If you read a lot of them and you have them in your library, I believe in stuff like that. So those things could be interesting as well. Anyway,
it's a spiritual chat GPT.
Yes, something like that. Now, one of the things that I look for is to try to get the right members in the group, as you know. So it's very, very important to try to get to know as much as you can about the people that you meet and want to involve it. So how do you do that? The best way I found was to meet people in person. But the way we can meet people online now is like you, Angelica, and all the great people we have in our group. They're drawn to you. You are drawn to them, and we're about maybe at the max 10 people left, maybe, and we usually like 6, 7 on the call, and we're consistent. We show up, So and that's so that creates itself, I guess, in some way, but. I think it's very important to have diversity in the group. You gotta have women, gotta have men. I showed a talk here the other day. I don't know who of you were on the call, but Simon Sinek talks about here's how women goes after a problem. Here's how men goes after a problem. Completely different. The women reach the right answer faster than the men, or more correctly than the men, but they didn't do it in time enough to execute on the task. So they were given a time limit to solve a problem, and the men, they would come up with all kinds of ideas and just execute it, but didn't hit the right problem on. So, and then putting them together would be a lot better solution, right? Because now you have a mix of the two. And then he talks about not only men to women, but he talks about the religious background, your spiritual belief, your cultural background, your economical status, your educational background. There's all these things that you can bring in. And that's another thing I've seen Jay Abraham do as well when I learned about joint ventures. What happens in the automotive industry very often can be applied over in the clothing industry, like different strategies, different launches, different things that they've done that they just haven't taken the same idea and put it over in another market and executed it there. And over again, it's proven that it's a lot of similarities that you can do. So looking at other industries, looking at what's been done before, is very powerful, very, very powerful. Now, one of the things many people think that a mastermind group has a coach or has a mentor or has a leader. I wouldn't say there's not a leader, but there's usually the whole group is the power. Now, the mastermind groups that I've been in, the last 2 ones, the one with Amazon since 2012 and the one since 2004, I've been usually the instigator to take charge, meaning I'm the one that presses the call button on Skype exactly at 6 o'clock, not a minute late. And I'm the one that goes around the room. Okay, you came in first, you're speaking now, and I time them. I put my timer on my watch and I say, you got 15 minutes. And then I say, okay, you got 2 minutes left. So I've taken on that role. And I also taken on the role to, if I feel something is wrong in the group, I start talking about it. I bring it up. So I take on the responsibility, but I believe if I didn't do that, and I've heard that from other people, the group wouldn't have stayed together. So one person has to, and it doesn't have to be you if you don't feel like that's your calling or that's something you don't do too well. I'm sure there's one in the group that would be happy to take on that. But I think that's important in order to help the group stick together. So there's got to be an instigator. There's not a leader per se. I don't see myself as a leader, but I take on the responsibility to make sure that certain things are in place. Showing up on time, we come. If you can't come, I'll email you or text you and say, why didn't you show up? You didn't tell us. Because we have as a rule, they need to tell us 3 days in advance in our group. Yeah, and of course, emergencies come up. That happens for all of us sometimes, and we forgive that. But if that happens over and over again, that's a problem. So yeah, so that's a little bit of an important part of the mastermind to make it stick. Like for instance, we record all the meetings and we transcribe them. We have software that does that, obviously. So one other person in the group does that automatically every time, and within minutes after the call is over, we have access to the recording and the transcription. And that's important because very often I may have been given feedback or something comes up and I'm not able to take notes fast enough, so I can go back and either read it or listen to it and take notes down, because the calls are very quick. So because 15 minutes each, we're 6 people in the group, and that's an hour and a half. And sometimes it slides a little bit over and stuff like that. So, but we're pretty good with keeping the timing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, if everyone has 15 minutes, how do you what is the summation of the meeting? Do you then go through the points? Like, is there anything that you do?
No.
Like, does anybody respond after the 15 minutes?
Yeah, so the other people can interact with the person that has the 15 minutes, because he'll talk and then he said, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So it doesn't mean it's only him or her talking, because we engage. But what some of the dangers that are that they start asking a question at the end of the 15 minutes and then it drags over. So that's when I come and say, hey, you need to ask these questions, or you write this question down, take it on your own time. Otherwise, I have to direct a little bit like that. And they understand, but sometimes we let it go over, and maybe I don't have that much going on today. I'll say, hey, I know this is a hot topic for everyone. I release my 15 minutes. So that other person that was talking takes it. Or another trick, not to get too technical, but the one that gets in first gets to speak first. That's never me, because I always call first, so I always wait in line. But so the one that comes in first speaks, and then number 2. But let's say number 2 starts asking a lot of questions of, or let's say number 3 starts to ask a lot of questions of number 2 that's currently talking. Then I say, hey, number 3, I've started your 15 minutes. Then they can ask that other person, so that you follow me, so that it doesn't drag out the number 2's minute into more than that. So that's a little trick I learned over the years. It's not an important trick, but you got it, because 2 hours is too long. So an hour and a half I found to be okay. We can all cut that out. So there's some psychology to that too. 1 hour too short, because we're 6 people. Then you're talking only 10 minutes each. That's too short. So those are things but whatever suits your liking, But gotta be careful. Starting to 2.5 hours, it's gonna be, and then people start talking about other things that's not so important. So we gotta kind of stay. So those are things that takes time to learn. And
the logistics are amazing that you're expressing right now, just as an observer. I'm thinking about doing a mastermind. So I really appreciate that. I hadn't thought of it, because in Toastmasters you have an agenda. Yeah. So what you basically create is an agenda for a mastermind, but in a very using a lot of philosophy and psychology. So it's great.
Yeah, just based on experience, actually, what seems to work. But we need to have momentum to weekly. If you go a month to month, you don't have the momentum. I forget what the other person was working on. You have to have momentum. If you don't have momentum, it kind of fizzles out. So, and then we have conflict resolution, like I talked about earlier. We've decided that the majority rules. Could be doing it in a different way. We don't fire people easily. That's very, very seldom that it happens. I think it's only happened a couple of times in my career, so to speak. But yeah, it's seldom it happens. But then I've been in many groups that dissolved because people started yapping and talking behind each other's back and all kinds of crap, and those just dissolved, So and that's what I learned from too, right? So it's all part of the. And then when you get on the calls, many people mute themselves out. And that's something I don't like so much, because I want you to set that time aside, close the door, get rid of the background noise, focus in, because the way I look at it, you need to listen much more than you speak. And especially you need to be there for the other people. And I take a lot of responsibility in that myself too, because I literally have note. I write down Peter, he talks, I'm typing Chong. Then next time, the next session is Chong. And I go, I type down, and then I have questions. But I remember I can go back and say, oh, he was looking for that, or he shared this thing, or he placed this link in here. So we share links to software and things we learn and we think is valuable for everyone. All of these things goes into one big document I have in Google Drive, so I can search through it. Peter talked about SEO, boom, boom, boom. So I'm very, very active listening when I am on these calls. And that's what I want all the others to be as well. That's why I like video better, because now I know I got your attention, and if you have some background noise, you can always mute that, but at least I have you on camera, so that's, I think, is the best. We started doing this on Skype, and there was no video back in the early 2000s, so but we still do it on Skype, and I've suggested now to do it on Google Meet, or we can use Skype with video too as well. So we're going to try that, because I see too many we kind of gotten into a rhythm. I'm not saying we're perfect. Several of us are muted out during the call, and I don't like it so much, because that means that I don't feel I have their 100% attention. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's one of those things that you can maybe just, if you start a group saying, hey, here's how it's going to be, make sure you can be in an undisturbed area, and we expect you to be not muted so that we can both engage. Any questions?
Well, I apologize. My husband was having his smoothie this morning. So
oh, no, I didn't hear him.
There's no place to hide.
All good.
I'm here.
All good. No worries at all. Any questions? No? Makes sense? Okay. So, and then, so of course we encourage participation. Participation that comes with the territory. Write down questions, engage with the other people, help them. Say, hey, I may have a contact for you, I will get back to you. Engage like that, and then note down and make yourself a reminder that you are going to do that, and then hopefully you remember to do that, right? So those things are important. Let's see now. I'm just looking at some notes. I actually asked ChatGPT, what should I talk about today? Here's what I'm thinking. So ChatGPT spit out the whole thing for me. I go, great. That's good. Then we have group accomplishments, things we do as a group. Sometimes we decide to we join in on a fundraiser or help somebody. We don't do too much of that because we have to focus on what we are about. But those are things too. Good courses are a good thing to be involved in as well. So I remember when I was doing my parties, I always wanted to donate 10% of my proceeds to some charities. And I gave in 1995, actually, I gave all my proceeds to the Children's World Peace Festival, something like that in San Francisco. And also I've donated to a church. It's a non-denominational church called Glide Memorial Church. My God, if you ever visit San Francisco, it's the first place I tell people. Like I said, I'm not a religious person, but this you got to see. It's a gospel church. A lot of colored people, and they got hats, and they're singing, and they're going, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. And I'm going, oh my God, and I even go there every Sunday in shorts, and you would sing and dance and clap, and there was a 80-piece choir live band in church. And people would stand up in trances, and I was like, and all the homeless people will go there too. They feed 1.5 million meals a year. So lots, and in the worst part of San Francisco called Tenderloin, right downtown actually. But I took my uncle and aunt there. It's like, oh my God, it was the highlight of their whole America trip. I was like, they couldn't believe it. And I placed them right down in the middle, in the center where the whole mayhem happens, and they couldn't believe it. And they're singing and praying, So it's an amazing, amazing place. So I raised some funds for them as well. So I always like to, if I can, I like to do that. So anyway. Let's see. I'm accountability. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what are some common challenges? Okay, so here's some questions that the ChatGPT asked me, and I've gone over some of them. How often should a mastermind group be meeting in order to be effective? And I say, I wouldn't say a minimum, but no less than 1 week. That's the same thing I'm saying. But if you try to do it every 2 weeks, it's too seldom. We have one group that started to do it every 2 weeks, but we were doing it every week, and we're so tight that wouldn't break the group anyway. So we have one group that started in 2004, but we also met in person. So this is a cool thing. All of us lived in California, so twice a year, and I think I mentioned it here on one of the calls too, we met in Southern California, Orange County, and we would go there on Thursday and go back on Sunday, and we would go from hotel to hotel from the cliffs, like the Four Seasons, the Hyatt Regency. I mean, fabulous hotels. We sit there and dine, and because we wanted to be in an affluent area, we wanted to be, because we that's where our mindset. We are going to be rich, and we are going to be, I wouldn't say famous, but we are there we want to be around money. We want to be around luxury. So that's what we did, and had fabulous lunches and dinner. We didn't stay there, but we just visited there during lunchtime and dinner time. So it was great. So that's another great thing to do. If you can, try to meet in person. If you can meet once a month and you're local, that's great. But I'm actually advocating more now than anything online mastermind groups, because you can pull in people from other countries, other cultures, other thinking patterns. I love that. I mean, if I was going to start Amazon again, I would make damn sure I had some kick-ass person from China that knows how to source products or inspect factories or somebody like that. And I would have somebody from America that's maybe really good at marketing, or somebody from Germany that's extremely detailed oriented, or somebody, I mean, you name it, from other countries where you can produce cheap goods, and have access to resources. So, and impulses, right? So South Africa, I mean, you name it, Canada, you name it. So that's one of the traits I think are important to look for. What are some common challenges that groups? Can you guys think of any challenges that you see now that I have not talked about so far? Any thoughts on that at all? In the mastermind group, or building the mastermind group? I mean, that's probably one of the hardest steps, right? How the hell do you build your mastermind? How do you find the right person, right? Let me talk about that for a second, because
You fill up at 10 o'clock.
No, it's okay. So building the mastermind group it's probably the hardest thing, right? So here you got to go and find somebody, Boban, right? You have to go and find somebody that's gonna join your group, right? And that's why, have you seen that document I have, What's Cool About You? Have you seen that, Boban? I need to share that with you. It's a document that was given by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. You go ahead, Angelica. Do you need to deal with something? No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Go do it. So Boban, so Angelica knows about this. What's cool about you? I have a document for you, Boban. Remind me about this, because when you're going to get somebody to join you in your mastermind, they need to know something about you that they normally wouldn't see when they see your profile on Facebook, right? So, for instance, you're telling me some things. I'm like going, what? You had 300 people working for you in Serbia? My God, what the hell did you do? You're telling me you're doing textiles, you had a factory in Italy, you were doing suits, all kinds of things. That I would be duly impressed if I met you and didn't know that about you, and now you're sharing some really cool insights about you. So I'm telling Boban about how do you get the first member to come and join you, right? So, and that's the document, What's Cool About You. You need to start writing these things down. Like maybe and I know you were really good at shooting pistol in competitions too, right? Is that I remember correct, Boban? That takes tremendous skill. So you got to list all these things, because if it took you 10 years to get to that level, that tells me a hell of a lot about your persistency and competitiveness and skill, and you're able to stay calm and you're going to hit this target. And I mean, and that's a mind game too. You got to have your mind totally focused. Just like one of the things that I put on my resume, that, or not resume, what's cool about you is that I threw huge parties. I mean, are you a party guy? Who the hell am I getting into business here with? You could think, right? But that means I have the ability to gather a lot of people. I have the ability to market to a lot of people. And then so this one guy, that Mark, that we got on our call, or got into join our mastermind group, he was actually very impressed with that, because he knows exactly what that takes. That's a lot of work, a lot of skills that needs to be come together to do that. So what's cool about you can be anything from, I went to the army, I trained German shepherds to attack people. I played hacky sack, or I sailed, or I did this and that. There could be hobbies that suddenly, hey, you're a sailor too. Oh my God, what about coming sailing with me in the Caribbean? Or things like that starts happening, and that you want to connect on that level, if you can. That's why all your hobbies, all your little interests, you can say you meditate every day, or you train 10 minutes a day, or you do intermittent fasting. It could be all these things that are extremely interesting for people to know that, hey, you care about your health, and you want to grow spiritually, you're driven. All these things are so important, and that's how you attract these people to your group. And you go out and say, do you want to join my group? You kind of want to drop these little things here and there, not to sound like you're bragging, but I also believe that we shouldn't be so afraid of saying something good about ourselves. I think many people have a problem with that. So what? It's okay. The way you say it obviously comes across too, but you don't want to have to be too bashful. Like we say about us Norwegians, it's hard to be humble if you're Norwegian. Just kidding. Just kidding. Normally, we're not. I feel that I'm way more out there than most people in Norway, because if you say things like this about yourself in Norway, it's like, who the hell do you think you are? I was like, yeah, I'm special. I have no problem saying that. But in Norway, that's like, no. You shouldn't say that. That's wrong, because if you're good at something, hey, if you got big muscles, sure. And I don't. But anyway, so that's one of the, I think, tricks to get people to join your group. You got to be able to, but you need to write these things down. You need to have them. You need to figure out a way how to drop the, what do you call it? Drop some of these little, what do you call it? Not tips. That drop these little news bits about yourself. Is that what you call it? Yeah, something like that. Anyway. Any questions, Bobo? Did you get what's cool about you? Remind me, and I'll send you that document, okay? Because you need to start writing these things down. Like I don't know if you know this about Bobo.
It's good idea. I write it about me to remember me.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah, I had a factory with 1,100 people working for me.
I thought it was 300.
And I was champion first premier in shooting in big caliber in Europe.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was very, very good and maybe excellent and very successful in marketing until I came to Norway.
Really?
Yeah,
it's Norway's fault.
Here it happened that nobody wanted my help, my advices, even if I offered this for free.
Yeah.
And if because I'm fantastic observer, and I can see what's the best in your business and what's bottleneck.
Yes.
And he keeps you, prevent you to go on. And I can tell you this, and I can help you solve this, but nobody here wanted this help.
Yeah.
And there were some really interesting and good companies, like local company 𝙊𝙤𝙚 and some of them needed this.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to speak with me about it.
I think very often you need the right introduction to. You need because they don't want it to come from you. And obviously I always prefer that too. If somebody comes and introduces me, you need to meet Alf because so and so, like Bill that we had on the call here. My God, he's like the god of introducing people.
Yeah,
Like I told you before, it's like, John, you need to meet Alf because Alf's done this, and now Alf is working on this, and that matches up with what you're doing. And John, you need to meet, on Alf, you need to meet John because John worked on this. And as a matter of fact, he told me this the other day, and that's where I see you guys connect. You need to connect on that. And he's fabulous, and he does it in an email format, and it's just, amazing how he does that. That Bill Door, right? That you've seen. He was supposed to be here today, but he probably got busy with Thanksgiving. Okay, that's good. So Boban, you need to write these things down because you have phenomenal background and experience that would be sad if people don't know about, So you gotta have it, and so I need to know them too because it's better if I say it. Especially in Norway, it's better if I say it. So I need to know all this crap about you.
It's not about knowing about this and knowing about me, but it's about using these things.
Of course.
For example, some or many connections, very important outside in some countries and etc.
Yep.
That now I cannot use for myself because I'm in this situation, and I don't use for another people because they don't want, they don't know me, they don't.
Yeah. You gotta get in the circles of the right people too, and finding those circles, And it's a sad thing too. I don't mean to speak bad about Norway, but people don't go out of their way to help people here. That's just so sad, and that's like completely opposite in the United States. In America, I'm sure I haven't lived in Canada, so I don't know, but it's a very much similar mentality, right? And people are like, oh, you do this and that. Oh, you need to meet John over here. He's like, and oh, you need to meet Mary too. Come on over here. I don't know if you were here on the call when Bill talked about his mother, when how he was in real estate, and one guy came into the room and he said we had these old big living rooms in the old days. It could be 50, 60 people without even feeling that he was busy. And so here's Alf, and everybody, you need to know this about Alf and make sure he feels comfortable and introduce him to everyone you know that you think he should talk to. Boom, case closed. It's done fast and without any expectations in return either. You see, Americans are amazing like that. But of course, when somebody goes out of your way to help you like that, you're at least I am looking for ways that I could try to help them back. So anyway, so let me look at the last. We're almost coming to an end here now. So can mastermind groups be effective for personal goals, and are they primarily used for business? We know about that. So the chat GPT, that was a bad question. We know that. And it actually, you know what, for the people that don't know this, we're business focused, right? And I tell the story of the kindergarten. Have I told you that? Have you heard of one with the kindergarten before, Angelica? Oh, okay. So watch this. Let's say you have a child, Bobon, for example, that is 3-4 years old and is in kindergarten. And you find out that this kindergarten that your child is being helped raised in doesn't have the right educational tools and toys for them to play with to grow and engage the child. So they're like sponges when they're this age, and it's so important to get the right tools. So what you should do when you know that this kindergarten, they don't have the right tools, you should form a group with 3-4 other parents that also have their kids in that kindergarten. And you should start maybe a bake sale, go to the local companies to sponsor toys, put out news to other families that may have toys that the kids are not using anymore because they're growing older, and start getting these toys into the kindergarten. So now you have a mastermind for your child and you solve a problem. It makes sense, right? Yeah. So all these things. And of course, if you have diabetes, or if you're struggling with cancer, or if you're looking for a relationship, or you work in a company and you want to move up the ladder, get together with other people that are senior managers and this and that. How do we climb the ladder? What's the best way to do it? Or and talk to somebody that's already climbed the ladder and ask them to be part of your thing and figure out how to give something value to them. What are the steps? I don't know if I can close with this story here. You may have seen me talk about it in some of the videos, but I have a good friend of mine in India. His name is Kushal. I'll mention his name. He took a job in a big telco company in Mumbai, and he helped me import some tarps and stuff from India to Norway. And he was going to take this job, and he asked me, Alf, so what should I do because I want to move up? And I gave him one tip. I said, try this. Your boss, make him or her shine. Do whatever it takes to make your boss shine, and do not take credit for it. Just do whatever you can and don't take credit for it, and watch what happens. In maybe 3 out of 10, something's going to happen. And he, wouldn't you know it, like 5-6 months later, he comes back to me and he says, my God, Alf, because he was very good with apps, he cut the production time down by 50% to approve and get the apps moved, working. And a boss 5 levels above his boss came to his boss and says, what's going on here? Suddenly there's like the 50% cut in time. How did you do it? Oh, it was Kushal did it. He said, oh my God, that's great. So things started happening, boom, boom, boom. He picked Kushal with him and moved him way up much, much faster than you can ever imagine. And Kushal had done other things too. He was smart. He told me about this later. He put a little cookie jar on his desk so people would come and get free cookies and candies. And he would network with people, starting talking about that and starting to help people. More and more people starting to help. Because I said, help as many people as you can. And it's not common in India. You get promotions based on what school you've gone to and the grades you have, and case closed, pretty much. In America, it's not like that. If you kick ass and you get things done and you perform and have results, you don't even need to have a education, at least in many companies. So all kinds of things started happening, and then other stories too. He was going to take a bunch of senior members on a trip, and he started organizing this and that, and he became the go-to person there. And I challenged him. I said, Kushal, I want you to share your story with these people that are there, because they're all wondering how the hell did he manage to move up in 6 months when the other people are stuck in the same place 2-3 years or 5 years later. And I said to him, share this story, what happened. You don't need to mention it's nothing about me, but just tell them what you did. Tell them how you did it. Help them help themselves so they also can be successful. And bam, 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 even more stuff, great things started to happen for him, because now he started giving inside juice, Anyway, that's exactly 5 o'clock my time. It's happy hour time. No, not quite yet. But so that was the end of the story. So that's how we can help people, So any last questions? Any things?
Just want to say thank you. Excellent information. I have to digest it, but everything you've said resonated powerfully. So thanks for that, Alf.
Well, thanks for being on the call. I appreciate it. I know it's Thanksgiving in over there, not so much in Canada, but thanks for being on the call. I really appreciate it. You too, Boban. Anything from you, Boban? Anything you need from us?
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful for being invited in this group, and to share thoughts with you. And I've heard so good things today, and I'm sure I will think a lot about it, and I'll try to be part of the group.
Absolutely. I'll give you a call right after now, Boban. We'll talk about the other stuff. Thank you so much, Angelica. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for showing up, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.